Hey there, it's Jitsi, and you're listening to the Crush Chronicles podcast, a safe space for millennials to reflect on our crushes and how they affect our lives. So grab your coffee or wine, pull out your old diaries, and settle in for today's topic and discussion. Welcome back, Crushers. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. And for new listeners, my name is Rachel, aka Jitsi, and at Rachel Jitsawat on all my socials. I'm your host and the author of the 9 Lives of Rachel Jitsawat over on Patreon, where I'm publishing my first memoir, also titled The Crush Chronicles. Although this podcast is inspired by the memoir, you do not have to have read any of it to enjoy the episode. If you'd like to anyway, of course, you are invited to do so. You may find the link to today's chapters in the show notes or visit patreon.com/Jitsi. Here's a sneak peek from one of the chapters. Blaine sat behind me in Spanish class, not by choice, but by the alphabetical fate of our surnames. My first year at the school, it likely took me months to warm up and speak to anyone comfortably, not just him. Despite having moved at a rate of a different school every year, it was not any easier to start over again each time my dad was stationed at a new base. My MO was to keep my head down, be quiet, and observe. Naturally shy and having had past experiences with kids who said and did mean things to me, I never wanted to open myself up to potential bullies. And now for today's episode. Last week, we kicked off my first ever signature series, Be Evil, where we form a safe space together of self-expression, not conformity. Society tells us our only value is XYZ, but we should be loved if we want to be Q, R, or S. Be Evil is not actually about being evil, but about bucking the concept of normal being normal for normal's sake, unlearning, pushing our natural selves away to hide because we might be considered other or too much, and really getting to rediscover ourselves. Think of it as you're walking around the mall and you see a more confident version of yourself, and you're like, hey, they're hot. This season's tagline is to be someone's crush, starting with your own. And I hope to help you get started with this by being evil. If this sounds like something you'd like to tune into, great. Although this is the second episode in this 5-part series, you don't have to listen to them in order. So go back and listen to the first part after this one if you like. Hello, podcast listeners. Have you been considering starting your own podcast but don't know where to start? Or maybe you already have a podcast but feel overwhelmed by the process. I highly recommend Riverside for all your podcast production needs. Before I began using Riverside, I was individually splicing audio recordings in GarageBand, a process that took me hours. When I switched to Riverside, those hours dissipated with just one click. Now I use it to record and edit my episodes and clips, streamlining a process that saves time for a team of one. Go to riverside.com/Jitsi to start using Riverside today. That's riverside.com/JITSIE, or click the link in the show notes. Don't spend hours splicing audio. Sign up for Riverside now. I will start each episode with this reminder. The B in Be Evil is for balance. You are not chasing perfection by doing this framework. You are trying to add little sparkles to your day. You're human, and you're going to have shitty days just as much as you're going to have brilliant ones. But even the shitty days can have a little bit of glitter. You just have to remember to recall them. This is why gratitude journals are always recommended. We all have way too much going on as humans, from young to old. Adding a 5-part framework, as simple as I may try to make it out for you to consume, it still may be too much. That's why at the end of each episode, I'll give you one action assignment to at least help you eliminate decision fatigue. And you can try to implement it whenever you remember. And I hope you balance that action with a form of rest. Think of it as yin and yang. It's not perfectly sliced down the middle, but a flow of balanced energy. Today is about the second E in Be Evil. Be engaged. And no, I don't mean to literally get engaged. I mean to engage in your time and therefore yourself. Occupy it, get involved, whatever. You know what we all do nowadays to disassociate. Doom scroll. Yes, it can be nice at times, but unfortunately, it is highly addictive. I don't need to give you the research, we all know it. And you need to tear yourself away. Here are 3 ways we can get back to being analog. 1, plan ahead. I know this may be a pain point if you do not actually enjoy planning as I do, but hear me out. If we have an appointment in our calendar, like the dentist or a work meeting, we go. Well, most of us do. I see you last minute cancelers, and I still love you. Make an appointment with yourself to do something you want to do, preferably alone. And I don't mean mentally. Do not say to yourself, Saturday morning, I'm going to work on that puzzle that's been sitting in my closet, but you never write it down or put it in your calendar. Because when we plan to take time for ourselves mentally, we aren't really committing. With modern life that will be bombarding you with day-to-day demands, by the time Saturday morning rolls around, you're likely forgetting about the mental note you made for yourself or you sleep in. Not only because you likely need it, but because you didn't set an alarm to make sure you got to your puzzle appointment. But in your calendar, make the space for it and protect it like you would a dentist or work appointment. You deserve to have your time protected for the things that fill you with joy and help you recenter yourself to your natural mode of happiness. Number 2, date yourself. A few years ago, I began going to the movies by myself. I have always loved movies since I was a little girl. I was one of those kids who rewound a movie and watched it again immediately after it ended because I enjoyed it so much. I even decided to become a film major when I went to college. But as life came at me after entering adulthood, marriage, and motherhood, movies kind of fell off the map, even for date nights with my husband, who also studied film in college. It happens, but what was important is that I made the decision to return to what lit me up, inspired me, and made me happy when I was a kid, discovering that it made me just as happy now. I don't want to go by myself to movies forever and ever and always. I enjoy going to the movies with friends and family too, but it is nice going alone. I don't have to worry about being late. I can get there in time to watch previews, which is actually one of my favorite parts about going to the theater. I can actually take one of those single seats that are left over when you look at the seat selection of movie theaters with assigned seats. I can get my own snacks without trying to order for the group. It's just nice. So find something like my solo movie nights and go on a date with yourself. If you don't know what to do, think about what you enjoyed doing as a kid, like I did, and see if any of those things still light you up or if you've moved on from the appeal. Remember, part of this is about getting to know yourself better, just like you would be getting to know anyone on a regular date, whether it's a romantic interest date or a coffee date with a new friend. If you can't think of anything from when you were a kid, think about what you actually would do on a date with someone else. Dinner, coffee, even a farmer's market, or if budget isn't concerned, do an at-home date, but make it an event. Get dressed in something special, even if it's your poshiest pajamas. Light a candle at the dinner table. Journal as a form of conversation with yourself. Stream a new movie, but dim the lights and make some popcorn. You're a hot date and you deserve to be doted on. And number 3, go where the people are. For sole introverts like me, this sounds like a nightmare. For the more extroverted, dating yourself alone probably sounded like the nightmare. But remember that this is about balance. You need time alone without external influences in order to hear what your own mind, body, and intuition are trying to say. If you are constantly around others 100% of the time, and that includes being alone but scrolling on social media because you are still listening to other people's thoughts and ideas, not your own, then you can't filter out the noise and critically think about what you actually think about certain things, from your favorite color to your life values. You need time around others too, because you are human and you are not meant to be isolated. You are meant to be connected. After dating yourself, consider which people you'd like to be around. Are you a bookworm? Book club. Knitter? Knitting group. Academic? Library. Even if you just start easy and join an online forum, that's a start. But try to expand your horizons and enter these social spaces. Post-pandemic and amidst the age of the smartphone, true physical social spaces are getting neglected. And now for just one thing. At the end of each episode of this series, I'll leave you with one action assignment. Just one, and you can take it or leave it. You're in control of you, not me. I'm just here to try to help. So, the second assignment for the Be Evil series is to schedule one date with yourself. I've chosen this as the action assignment because it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Plan ahead and date yourself. It's the most simple and likely the most satisfying way to engage with yourself. Pick at least an hour out of your week. Write it in your planner, put it in your digital calendar, even set an alarm to remind yourself if you need to. The hard part is going to be actually doing it when the time comes, and or to not blow it off if someone or something else approaches you with another commitment for the same time. I've experienced this several times myself. If you plan to go to a coffee shop and journal for an hour, make sure you go to that coffee shop and bring that journal and go. And if someone approaches you with a different commitment for that same time, it's okay to say no, because you already have plans. At the end of the date, before your hour is up and you move on with the rest of your day, schedule another date for either next week or next month. I know for some of us, a once-a-week date may actually be difficult to come by. For your rest and sanity, I hope that changes soon. We should be able to spend an hour with ourselves each week. But just one date isn't going to cut it. To really get to know yourself, you need to spend time with yourself. And that's it for this episode. If you'd like to dive a little deeper with a little guidance, be sure to sign up for the free tier of my Patreon, where I will be sending out the show notes to this episode with a link to a downloadable PDF to help get you out on your Be Evil journey. Until next time, stop conforming, be you, and be evil. Bye. So, what do you think? How do you feel? If you like this episode and would like to hear another, download the Alive Podcast app, where you can find our archive of audio episodes and discover hundreds of shows featuring Black and diverse voices on the first Black and woman-owned network. If you upgrade to ad-free, please remember to select Rachel Jitsawat as your referring host. The Crush Chronicles podcast is produced by me, Rachel Jitsawat. The music is by Musictown, and the sound effects are by Pixabay. Thank you for listening, and until next time, remember to be somebody's crush, starting with your own.